Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We thank you guys again for joining us on the AR Student Athlete Soccer Scholarship Academy. And today we have a wonderful guest with us today. We have Coach Rob. I know Coach Rob joined in our session, the last one, to give us some vital information. And it's just an honor. It's just an honor to have Coach Rob here. Very, very knowledgeable in the field and a people's guide. It's always wonderful to communicate with him. And just a little bit of Coach Rob, he's at S.A.S.S.A University. He was previously assistant coach at Allison University. He played Division II soccer for West Virginia Wellesley College, NCAA Elite 8, ranked number 6 team in the country, coached with multiple clubs, and over 10 to 12 years experience in the business. So we really do have a top notch with us today. And we really want to thank Coach. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me out.
Beautiful, Coach. Coach, I know all the different teams schools are getting themselves ready right now and preparing themselves for the upcoming season. And spring is here, and we're happy for the spring. And how is it going so far right now for you in your program right now, Coach?
It's going well. You know, the ladies are focused on individual growth, and that's what we really like to look for in the spring is how can we get better as individuals to make the team better for the fall. Getting in the gym, focusing on getting stronger, more explosive, some fitness sessions, and then as well as getting in some individual tactics so the players can grow as players on the field, but also as a unit and as a team.
Beautiful, Coach. And how do you see the difference now in collegiate soccer versus when you played back in your days in collegiate soccer?
So now you're starting to see players that are more well-rounded in all three categories. So when I played at the Division II level, you tended to have really technical players or really fit players or really intelligent players. Now you're starting to see players at the Division II level that are two, if not all three categories at a high caliber. And the gap is really starting to be closed between what people think is the D1 bust mentality, where, if you go back and look this past fall, the team that won the national championship in the spring last year for the men's side, was Marshall University. They played against the previous D2 champions of Charleston, and Charleston beat them in preseason. So there's not that large of a gap anymore between Division I, Division II, NAIA, or even some Division III programs.
Beautiful, Coach. So when you said that the soccer is really, really developing in the U.S. in terms of collegiate soccer, and you're really seeing a slight difference in it now versus what you used to be seeing way back when, yes?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And Coach, how was the transition, Coach, from working as an assistant coach and now with all that experience they're learning under some of the top coaches? How did you transfer that to this process now, leading a program to go forward, Coach?
So I was lucky with my previous head coach where he gave me a lot of freedom. He allowed me to learn how to be a head coach without having to have the outcome placed on my shoulder of being the head coach. So now I'm starting to learn how to apply everything from designing training sessions to organizing our season and our off-season training to player communications and academic advising, scheduling recruiting events, when to go recruiting, where to go recruiting, budget management, how to go about communications with players in regards to finances and things like that. So I was lucky enough that I was given the ability to learn how to do the head coaching job without the stress of being the head coach. And I thank my previous boss for that. He really gave me an opportunity to be set up for success.
Beautiful. And Coach, what do you look for in an athlete, Coach, in terms of for your program? What are some of the catches, Coach, that you look for in an athlete, student athlete?
So, everyone's going to look for the best players. That's given. We have to bring in quality players, but for me, what separates you is your mentality and your personality. Um, at the end of the day, it is a team. You're part of a group, and I look to build a family environment. I want to have a place where the players enjoy themselves more than just on the field, but as an organization, as a group, and they want to have friendships and bonds that last beyond the field. So who you are as a person and what drives you are very big qualities for me. The other side is the mentality side. When I watch players play, I can see your personality and your mentality through how you react to situations on the field. If you make a bad pass, do you hang your head and not chase back? Are you the type of player where if you lose the ball, are you the first one to go get it back? Because that shows that not just you can brush off a mistake, but that you're willing to fix your mistake and you're willing to make the difference in your team to make up for what just happened.
So you're really looking at the quality of the person first, and then soccer falls in line after that, because you're really looking for team players that you can build upon with the right mentality and the right mindset and the right frame of mind. Quite interested. Coach, what are some of the advice you would want to give international students coming to the US in terms of adjusting themselves for, different programs, male and female student athletes? What are some of the advice you would like to give to them in terms of their making that transition?
Two of the biggest things that I noticed with international players, one is the consistency of training at the level of intensity it goes. I've seen some players who they played in academy systems, but they weren't training 5, 6 days a week, 1, 2, maybe even 3 times a day for 1 or 2 hours. At the Division II level, during season, you're allowed to play up to 20 hours a week. So, and you're required one off day. So 20 hours a week at 6 days a week is 3 hours of training a day. Some players only go through 3 days a week at 2 hours of training. So getting to the college level, you have to learn how to adapt to the intensity of training constantly. And the other thing that comes with that is your time management in preparing yourself. So, you're going to be not just a student, but you're going to be a student living on your own. You're going to be having to learn how to be an adult outside of it. Now, some kids go through that growing up and they're exposed to that and used to it, but now you're in a different country. So it's different foods, it's different cultures, it's different people, it's different communication. So you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in regards to nutrition, sleeping properly, drinking enough water and taking care of yourself in that. And then the biggest side of it is you're there for school. So you have to stay eligible. You have to do your time management with making sure you're doing your assignments and going to class. So I would say the being prepared for the intensity of training constantly, as well as what are you doing with your time management to make sure you're staying on top of all of your tasks and the discipline that comes with doing that. You can't slack off because at this level, and it's like at the international level, there's always someone coming for your spot. So if you take a week off of training, that's another 2 weeks that it takes you just to get back to the level that you took off at that time. So now you're 3 weeks behind in the season compared to your teammates.
Coach, what about structures, putting structures around student athletes for to do their schoolwork, having their schoolwork organized? Is there structures you believe in that, where you have groups, of kids studying together, putting these structures in place, and each one of them being accountable to each other in terms of going forward and being successful, Coach?
So two of the things that I like to focus on is one, in preseason, we talk about time management. So I'll actually give you just a blank sheet of paper that has your like a weekly calendar on it that has from 6:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, and every half hour I'll have you fill out what your schedule is. When are your training sessions? When are your classes? When do you have time to eat? When do you have time to go to rehab? And you recognize that there's actually a fair amount of free time in there, but what are you using for that free time? So that's the first thing that we do. The next thing is we'll set up study hall hours. So we have required study hall hours to make sure that you're staying on top of it. And where personal accountability comes in is you can attend study hall, but are you actually doing your work during study hall? Are you actually staying prepared and being ahead on your assignments? Or, I've had some girls that they tend to be procrastinators, and that's okay. That's their personality type. But then there's no excuse for, well, coach, I'm behind on these 5 assignments. Okay, well, what have you been doing during study hall when we have this time? Have you been watching movies, listening to music, being on social media, or are you actually doing your work, staying ahead on your assignments, knowing that we have 3 games in the next 2 weeks, and each of those 3 games we're going to be traveling for an entire day for one of those games? Are you bringing your work on the bus with you? So accountability is huge. And we'll try and create the structures. We'll work on how players can do best for themselves. But at the end of the day, you can have the structure, but how are you going to utilize it?
Mhm. And coach, I know from discussions that we had before you, while you were playing collegiate soccer, you played among a lot of international students. And one of the things I'd like us to really look at, coach, um, how was that experience for you as a player, and how is the experience for you as an assistant coach, and the experience for you now as a coach? How does it, you know, compare itself, coach?
So as a player, honestly, as all 3 with internationals, it's wonderful for me because it's helped me grow as a person. It's helped me become more culturally diverse and help me understand people from a better situation. During my playing years, I played with people from about 9 different countries. I had a couple of guys from the islands. We had some Trinidad players. We had a player from Grenada. We had a player from Jamaica during the time. I had some guys from Eastern Europe, a couple from England, Central Europe. And then during my coaching time as an assistant coach, I coached a player from Barbados, a couple from Puerto Rico, some from Honduras, some from Colombia, an English player. So we've had a lot. And then now as a head coach, I currently have a Brazilian player, speaking to some Spanish people, some players from New Zealand. Where it differed was, as a player, it helped me grow as an individual and understanding the game, because as an American, we're taught to play a very physical and a very fast system, very direct soccer. We're going to play long balls. We're going to play through balls. We're going to chase players down. We're going to push players around. That's what was taught when I played. Now, mind you, when I played club ball and everything, and it was 15, 20 years ago, but when you take away that, from a player perspective, it helped me grow, and it also helped me grow as a person. As a coach, what I'm starting to learn is more on the game side, more on the tactic side, but also it's helping me understand different environments that people grow up in, and how to better adapt and help people become the best version of themselves. Some people from different countries have different motivations. Some people from different environments or different backgrounds or different upbringings have different motivations. So by spending time with people from different cultures, different continents, different lifestyles, it really helps me become a better coach, because now I can learn, well, what motivates players? How can I get the best out of them? How can I get them to be part of the team? And how can I help them become the best version of themselves, not just as players, but as people, so you can grow up to be a successful individual after college?